Ann Woodson, are you out there?
Hi. I'm in
Hi.
my really weirdly lit basement. So I apologize for like the Hollywood lights behind me, but we're going to keep moving.
You're good. You notice mine? I shut my room lights off and kind of propped the light up to try and get a better angle. It's all good.
All good.
No judgment on that here at all. So welcome, Ann. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Northern Virginia.
Northern Virginia. And what's your passion?
Currently it's mostly fitness related, like helping people, fitness related stuff.
That's awesome. What's your favorite fitness thing to share with people?
That they can create their own plan and they can adjust their own plan based on feedback from their body. And a lot of that came from this, right? Like, so, you know, for years and years and years in fitness, whether it's workouts or diet, people get handed something and then they say it doesn't work. And then they throw their hands in the air because they don't adjust it themselves. They don't have the confidence and the empowerment to do that. So I love it. I love setting people up to fish instead of giving them a fish. It's good stuff.
Isn't that so good?
Like the best. Yeah.
Because then they can start to act on their own and you don't need to hold their hands.
Right. And what works for one person totally is not going to work for the same for another person. So I know when I started in the ER Shred group, like I asked Jesse like 4,000 questions and he was like, well, this works for me. However, it may not work for you. Right. And it took me a while to click into that and to really start. I mean, obviously there are basic tenets and there are guides. Like I think I joined before there were even guides, honestly. So I'm an old timer, but I appreciate the guides because it makes things really clear. And when you're sharing it with other people, it's much better than being like, I think this is how I did it. But anyway, it's great. It's great to have all that information.
So you've been around a while. When was your first ER Shred?
Okay. So this is so funny. So I was looking back at the comments on my other phone when I was hearing from other people. So I tried my first ER Shred in October of, could it be 2020? Yeah.
So
yeah,
you
October
are
28th.
You are an OG. Yep. That was
OG,
the
right.
second group shred. That's when I started. And that's why you didn't have the guides yet.
Fun. Now, here, epic fail right here. So if anybody's on this call and they're thinking of trying it, don't do it. I tried to do it, but like fat free. So like with egg whites and chicken breast, right. Right. So guess who epically failed because she was starving. I mean, I came from the land of eating like, you can't believe it's not butter spray. Don't even. So, right. So I got tired and grumpy and cranky. So I basically like asked 1,000 questions and then bottomed out of that group. And I was like, this isn't for me because I don't want all that red meat and butter and blah. Right. If you see what I eat now, the sheer volume of meat, everything's in melted butter. Like it's insane. And so anyway, so my first real shred was like January 4th. I'm like, okay, people are getting some traction here. I'm just going to have to eat the yolks. I'm going to have to slather on the butter and get some more steaks out. I love steak, but I kept asking the question about, can I add vegetables? Like, can I roast broccoli? Can I?
And because you talked to Jesse, I'm sure you got a hard nope.
Right.
Suck it out, Buttercup.
Stuck it up Buttercup. And I was like, but I really like vegetables. They're good for my digestion until I did it the right way. I think it was like January 4th through the 15th because I was looking back at comments and my husband did it with me and he's like a big rule follower. So we did it like by the book. And I was like, this is delicious. And then you hit the cleanse days and you're like, wait a minute, if I'm not chasing down, because again, I used to do cleanse days through old school Isagenix, nothing wrong with it. But for me, if I'm eating the chocolates and a lot of the sweeter snacks, I'm starving, so hungry. Well, and then I would start dipping into like the apple because I had low blood sugar and the almonds, right? And so really it wasn't a cleanse day.
And what I noticed too is that the cleanse is sweet, the delights are sweet, yes. The oat bakes are sweet, the fat bake bomb things, they're all sweet.
All sweet.
There's nothing wrong with them.
Right.
But it was sweet on sweet on sweet that I never felt like I ate a meal.
No, not at all. And my husband got really into the whey. I don't know if they still sell those crisps.
The whey
sour cream and onions. Yeah. And for me, I was like, okay, now I just want like a soda. Like it was the salty. Anyway, the snacks didn't work for me really well, but I had good success with like OG Isagenix for years. And Kimberly Connolly is who shared it with me. But when Shred came up, she's like, you know, this new group is popping up. And I think even didn't the Shred group's name change from like a different business name to this one? And I was like, I'm in it already. Look at that.
We were Body Alive before we were ER Shred.
Okay, cool. So, but anyway, so yeah, so that first Shred, and I was like, well, okay, so that worked. And then I kind of just stuck with it. I was like posting all my pictures of pancakes with butter dripping off it, like so happy, like so delicious and always full. It took me a long time to get fat adaptive. And I know I posted something about that, like over the, like in the fall, because for me, that was one of the harder things was I felt like just giving up the carbs and the sugar and everything, that quick twitch, like easy burn energy for like longer workouts wasn't there yet. And I kind of talked through it with Jesse 1,000 times. He's very patient. And then when I hit it, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a fuel source that is like, there's literally there's no this like in my workouts. Like I can be on it like today, cleanse day. I don't know if we're supposed to say this or not, but like I worked out twice and I feel great. I'm like,
and that's the thing. And here's what I want to pause and just say, you are an athlete, your body is active and you have been cleansing and shredding for a while. So
yeah, that's
working
true.
out now, it makes sense.
Right.
I went to spin class tonight on a cleanse day, but
Awesome.
I've been shredding since you back in October.
Right.
Although I added the fat right away because I like my butter.
Yeah. I love my butter.
And I've been spinning for a year, so I knew my body in a fasted state could handle it. If you are brand new and this is your first cleanse day, don't push it beyond like a 30-minute walk.
Yeah. And even since, I've been cleansing for a long time, but there are some shreds where I just know, like on the cleanse days, I feel like my body needs all the energy to clean. And so, but it's funny because like the energy of this lifestyle, like just bouncing around like a gummy bear, you know, and my husband's like, oh, you know, you just take on these projects and you're just moving and going and going. And it's not like a manic because it's not fueled like this, right? It's like this just steady state. And I never feel like tired, lethargic, weighed down, like I need a nap after a meal, like at all. I just feel like I've eaten something.
Right. Like Kimberly says, you're a spinning top that just keeps spinning. But it's a controlled spin that you can be that Tasmanian devil by cleaning up the mess instead of making the mess in that whirlwind. But that's just the energy level that comes when you use fat for your fuel source.
Yeah, it's awesome. Totally awesome.
So you said your husband joined you on that. So how did that go? Was it better because he was with you and he's the rule follower to kind of push you to add that fat and break that mindset?
Yeah, so it totally did. He kind of comes in and back out of Isagenix and shredding. And so that's okay for me because like I got it now and I'm good to go. And like, you know, I'm just over there sauteing my stuff in butter, like my meat in butter. And, you know, sometimes he kind of goes with that. Sometimes he goes back to like original Isagenix stuff too, like where he's like got his 2 shakes and his meal and his snacks, and that like is easier for him to think through. Totally cool with me. For me, because I've seen such great results with this, I don't want to change anything. And, you know, a little bit over the summer, I kind of got it back into like margaritas and chips and salsa, all delicious, did not serve me. So I chose to then let them back out the front door and go back to what fuels me. And I feel amazing all of a sudden again. And it's crazy because so my first shred, I know I'm like answering questions, but because I've heard you ask other people. So my first shred, I lost like 9 or 10 pounds and like 12 inches. And then, but since then, cumulatively, it's like well over 25 pounds. And my body has just changed. It's just muscle. Like the muscle gets what it needs because of the protein. And so I can perform and I'm faster. I'm a faster runner. I can run longer. I can lift heavier. Every aspect just is fueled now. Like, I don't know what I was doing before, honestly, not fueling the right way, I guess, for my body.
But it wasn't that in your mind from before. It wasn't wrong because that's what you knew. Right. Like the shredder way is not yet. Notice how I'm putting the yet in there. Right. The way of the norm in society. So the egg whites and the chicken breasts and everything that you were doing before is what you had been taught. Right. So and you didn't know any different. As I would finish a meal, I would be starving. So, you know, and it's funny because my sister has slowly come over
to this now in her own way. And it's one of those things where like, she would literally like stand next to me in my kitchen and be like, just watching it, you know, like with like the butter and like I eat steak fat. It's like my favorite food on the planet. Like, actually my kids are like, Mom, is animal fat good for you? Like the whole lacrosse team knows, like ask Miss Woodson about animal fat. It's like, they're like, who's that crazy lady? But she's also jacked. So maybe we eat some animal fat. You know what I mean? Like, and not that I am all the time, you know, it's just the point that like, it's challenging what all of society has told you for so long. Like go grab a low fat granola bar laden in sugar before you go for a run, or go grab whatever it is. And just constantly leaving yourself hungry and craving something else immediately. What was crazy for me, so I'm like all into macros, and you don't have to do that to be in shred or anything. It's more like when you kind of like want to troubleshoot, like where should I live, right?
Bingo. It's a tool to help you troubleshoot.
Totally. And so, but for me, because I was already doing macros, I was blown away that like I could keep my calories the same or higher, but by switching out to such higher ratios of protein and fat that I could lose weight. Like that totally blows the mind off of like calories in, calories out, right? Totally bananas. Like, it's like, this is something my body can readily use, as opposed to like figuring out what to do with it and making me hungry for things I can't use, you know? So it's really cool to see how it all clicks together.
That's so exciting. So the lacrosse team, what age group are we looking at?
14-year-olds. Yep.
It's always good to educate them.
They're awesome. And so, you know, one of the guys, he's really good. And he said, he's a sweet kid. And he's, you know, he asked me, he's like, what do you use? My mom has this protein shake. It's disgusting. And I was like, well, here's what I have. And I gave it to him. And of course, like the first time he tried it, he was like, I don't like it. And I said, well, you know, not shredding, like you could add some like peanut butter to it, or like something like to add a little, like, and now the kid is like obsessed with it. But it's just that mindset of like, you have to get away from, because there's so many protein powders and shakes on the market that are just jammed with artificial sugar, so that it tastes like you're eating cake. Well, that's not really, for me, that is a grody taste. But it's cool to see like the kids. And then that made my son be like, oh, now I want a shake for breakfast. Everybody's like taking my shake. But it's cool because they get that there's different qualities of nutrients, and what you put in your body matters. And like at one of the lacrosse tournaments, all the parents were lined up at this food truck. And the only thing I could figure out was like to get like 3 chicken sandwiches, but like no bun. And I was just sitting there like eating, and I asked for like a side of butter, and I'm like swirling it around with hot sauce because it's not a culprit for me. And parents are like, what are you eating? I'm like, 3 chicken breasts dipped in butter. Like, it's just what I want to eat. I don't want to eat nachos right now. It's just not what I want. So I guess I don't mind being a little weird because it serves me well, you know?
It's all good. And it'll show your son it's okay to do what feels good for you. Like,
yeah, totally.
That's leading by example. So does he do any of the shred style lifestyle with you?
Oh yeah. Put the protein in first. That's like the whole house knows that, all the way down to my 6-year-old daughter. Like, put the protein in first, eat something that's going to fill you up. You know, the junk is like the 20%, you know, and I mean, it's hard with kids, man, but like things like he's like, you don't eat that stuff. Like if we go and it's a birthday party and he's like, I don't really want cake. I'm like, oh, you don't want cake? He's like, do you eat cake? I'm like, I don't, not because I can't, but because I choose not to. It's just not, it doesn't. And he's, as kids get older and sports get competitive, they want their bodies to feel good when they're out there for 3-4 hours. They don't want to feel junky and weighed down, you know?
Yeah. No, my little monster, I don't like cake. I don't like cookies.
Right.
What do you want for dessert? Berries?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Works
done
for me. So do you find that because this lifestyle is easy enough that you can keep up with your kids and and family meals just seem easier?
Oh yeah. It's very easy because you don't buy all the other rows in the store, right? And it's so easy. My kids know every night there's a protein source. I mean, the amount of steak that gets eaten in my house, and I know it's expensive, so sometimes we do like roasts or whatever, but they always know there's gonna be a hunk of meat on their plate and like a non-starchy vegetable, right? And then we figure out like who's got what, and you know, it's so easy. It's so easy. I'm not making like 6 meals for different because they get the value in it, and they know when they go to, I'm not going to name any fast food chains, but when they go and they eat it and then they try to do anything but fall right asleep, and they're like, ugh, you know, I feel gross. Like, all right, cool. Not saying no, but you're probably going to need to eat after that, because that's not how we eat at home, you know?
So my question for you to tell shredders, what would you tell those who are thinking about it, but say they can't because they have to feed the kids at home? What's your advice to them?
So I would say, you can always feed the kids at home. Cleanse days are a little hard at first, although I will say, and I know I'm now long-winded, but cleanse days, when I was using more of like the sugary traditional snacks under Isagenix, were a lot harder for me because I was hungry looking at like whatever I was making them, pasta and meatballs or whatever. Now I'm just not really, like, I'm sipping on, like, I was drinking my bone broth, like, you know, before our call, and like, I just literally, I'm so satiated, and I'm like good, also because I eat so much fat on the other days. But anyway, keeping up with kids. So I have 3 kids, 14, 11, and 6. They all love food. So like, I will make like homemade meatballs or a big old roast, or like pork. I do pork tenderloin. We do beef. We do steaks. We do dark meat, like kind of greasy chicken. And then they can swap out their sides, you know? I mean, the one unifier in our house, everybody eats, is broccoli. So when I'm not shredding, I love broccoli, and I know that it gets converted, but like, I feel like I'm also using that and it doesn't upset my stomach. So good to go. But everybody eats broccoli. And then like, somebody might want like rice or a roll or whatever it is. So it's good. You know, it's, there are things that, like, the 6-year-old, she would eat chicken noodle soup every night if she could. She doesn't. But that's for druthers, you know, but I would say, yeah, put the stuff in your cart first that matters, that everybody can eat, right? And spend the most of your money there. And then if you need to add a couple things here and there for them, do that. But like, for me, it's pretty easy because everybody knows, like, I think anyone in my family, even the 6-year-old, could go grocery shopping for us at any given time. Like, they know what we buy. They know what we don't buy.
That's awesome. And the other thing that I think, living this lifestyle and teaching the kids young, for me personally anyways, is that we then have the energy to keep up with them. So we're active with them.
Yeah, totally.
Like, have your kids noticed that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, you know, I've always been pretty active, like with the kids' schools and activities. Like, I'm the team mom for both lacrosse teams, and I'm always the room mom for every classroom. And I work 3 jobs. So I work out a lot. And so it's not that other things get not done around here. I just get up earlier because I have the energy, and I go to bed because I sleep well. And I have that constant energy. People are always like, how old are you? And, you know, it's always that, like, which is kind of like a little underhanded, but like, how do you do it all? And you're like, well, because I just do. Like, I don't make excuses. Like, if something matters to me, I just go do it. Mm-hmm. And so I felt great. I mean, even people at work at all the jobs are like, wow, I mean, you just get stuff done. And I'm like, it's all part of that, not to even get into another chapter, but like the shredder mentality of like, you just cut away anything that does not matter. And it gives you so much more energy for what matters, right? And you are where your attention is. So if you're focused on your core beliefs and what matters to you, you don't have to deal with the other fluffy noise. And it's so easy to cut it away. Like, you're like, oh, this is on my critical path. This is not, you know, doesn't matter.
I love that. Just cut the fluff. Get to what's critical.
As your body cuts the fluff, your mind cuts so much more of the fluff. And even like interpersonally and everything, you realize what matters to you and who in your world you want to expose yourself to. And that's it. Easy.
I love that. Is there anything else on your heart that you want to share with the shredders in the community?
I would say just be patient with yourself. Like, I've fallen off a couple times and kind of like into old habits, you know, and it's quick though. It's like the getting back to where I feel good is so much quicker now. I'm kind of like, oh, whatever, major life event, pity party, half a day, boom, back. You know what I mean? Because I already know how good I feel, and I don't want to get too far off of that. And so it's cool. Like, I would say, be patient with yourself. Life happens. And just like this shred, I wasn't planning on doing this shred. and I got like FOMO a little bit, and I was like, you know what, you should probably go ahead and jump in. So I just jumped in, you know?
I love that. And for those of you who don't know the acronym, FOMO, fear of missing out.
I was like, I start to see all the bubbles of people like with their fun, like shred day. And I'm like, I'm in. I'm so in right now. Like, feels great. End of day one.
Love that.
So ready to jump like up and down. Like, I feel amazing. It's like, it's the craziest thing that after years of these cleanse days and a year and a half of this type of cleanse, that you can still get like elated. Like, it's like the best gift going. And it's always that anxiety of like, do I want to do a cleanse day? Do I not? Do I want to do a cleanse day? Do I not? That's why the group shreds are great. Cause you're kind of like, I'm in, you know, like I don't want to not, cause then I'm going to miss it, you know?
Right.
So it's
cool.
I
love that. I absolutely love that. And now we're able to connect these groups. So thank you, Ann, for your share. I appreciate you. We all appreciate you. Is Bobby